Hello, I'm PogieJoe, and today we're doing a chat with Terry Lee Goffee. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Terry, what is it that you do for a living?
Well, we do a Johnny Cash tribute show, and we travel all around the country and sometimes overseas, Canada, to just kind of try to give people a little bit of a taste of what a Johnny Cash concert might have sounded and felt like.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of reviews of your shows where they say, like, it's incredible how much he captures so much of the spirit of Johnny Cash. You feel like you're actually at one of his concerts.
Well, great. We love to hear that. It's great to know that we're bringing some joy and happiness to people.
Sure. And I'm sure that's very rewarding as an artist, I'm sure.
It is, yeah. We're very fortunate in the fact that we're able to keep the lights on, pay the bills, and keep the bus running down the road. As expensive as that might get at times. But yeah, the real reward comes from hearing people tell us how much they really appreciate and enjoy what we do.
And one thing I noticed that you clarify a lot is that you're not doing an impersonation. You're paying tribute in a way. And you would feel that was an accurate description?
It is accurate, although, I know some people will kind of shy away and some people even take offense at the word, impersonator or impersonation. I don't necessarily do that because, like I say, I do try to make it sound and look as authentic as possible. So, if it rolls into the impersonator area, then I'm perfectly comfortable with that. But it is a tribute. Like I said, I grew up on Johnny Cash. For whatever reason, when I was 5 or 6 years old and heard my first Johnny Cash record, I just fell in love with that sound, and that continued, as I grew up. And so, knowing what Johnny Cash, the person, and Johnny Cash, the musician, and writer, meant to so many people. I feel very honored that I'm able to recreate that in my own small way, to allow people, like I said, to enjoy that once again.
How did you get started in music to begin with? What compelled you to that?
Well, I think there was just something inside me, that just gravitated toward music. Like I say, from a very early age. When I was in school, second, third, fourth grade, whatever, and even later on, I would much rather go home after school and go to my room and play music than to go out and play ball or climb trees or whatever the other kids were doing at the time. So I think it was just something, like I say, that was born in me. You see people all the time who just seem to have a natural affinity for a certain profession or something, or whether it's carpentry or mechanics or electronics or video.
I can definitely relate to that.
You can relate to that. Growing up, there were maybe 3 or 4 or 5 different television shows that obviously Ed Sullivan was the biggest, or Johnny Carson's Tonight Show or whatever. But if I saw that Johnny Cash was going to be on one of those variety shows, I made sure that I was glued to the television set come Sunday night or whatever night it was on. And yeah, as soon as the show was over, when Johnny's part was over, man, I was up in my room, and I was practicing that guitar move or the head ticks or whatever it might have been. So I tell people all the time that again, I'm very fortunate in that I had literally over 40 years of practicing this, not because I had any intentions of putting a tribute show together someday, but I just had such a I don't even know what to call it, but
fascination.
Fascination, I guess, with him, that I just wanted to I wanted to duplicate those moves. I just thought he was the coolest guy on the face of the planet.
Because you're have to kind of put yourself in Mr. Cash's footsteps and stuff like that. Does it ever kind of start becoming part of who you are? I'm sure, like you said, he was an inspiration to begin with.
Sure.
But is there a point where you almost feel like he's kind of assimilating into you in a way? Like,
when I'm on stage, I think there's a little bit of that. But I'm able to, I guess, flip the switch, either before the show or after the show, and just get back to being Terry Lee Goffee.
Okay.
I'm appreciative of that, because I see sometimes impersonators or tribute artists who are either unable or unwilling to separate themselves from the artist that they're paying tribute to, and I don't ever want to do that, because I think it does a disservice to the greatness of Johnny Cash in my case.
How many other tribute or impersonators have you met of Johnny Cash before? Because it seems obviously it's not like Elvis where they're just everywhere,
Yes.
right? It's probably a little more specialized, I'm sure.
It is, and there's a reason for that. Elvis, for some reason, seems to be a little easier, and one of the reasons, I think one of the things that makes it a little more difficult for the Johnny Cash tribute artist is your voice has to just naturally fall within a certain range.
Oh.
And so, you're not going to be able to hit those low notes if you're a natural tenor. So again, I feel very fortunate, very blessed that that this voice just kind of grew in there as I got older. I'm within an inch. I'm actually about an inch taller than Johnny was.
Oh.
But my overall physique is very, very similar to his. And so, you get the lighting just right and comb the hair just right, and the facial features kind of fall in there a little bit. So and so that's not always just a natural look for people. Elvis is probably more exciting for most folks. Hey, I get to shimmy around on the stage a little bit and grow my sideburns real long. So, but I've met a few other Johnny Cash tribute artists, and but yeah, in the whole scheme of things, there probably aren't even a tenth of the number, maybe 1%, of the number of Johnny Cash tribute artists as there are Elvis impersonators.
Now, you were so good that you were actually called to play him for the Guitar Hero 5 video game a couple years back, is that right?
Yeah, 2009. We were actually in Ireland at the time, and our agent got an email from the folks who produced the Guitar Hero video games at Activision, and they said that they had kind of scoured the internet and decided that I was the person that they wanted to portray Johnny in the game. And basically what that entailed was going out to LA and doing a motion capture shoot, which I'm sure you're familiar with. For the folks who maybe are not familiar with that, they put you in this spandex suit and put little reflector balls on you. And then they have some stationary cameras, and then a couple of guys with walking around you as you're performing. I basically lip synced to Johnny's song "Ring of Fire," and so through the magic of technology, and I don't even pretend to know how they do that, but they were able to then take the moves that I did during the song and project them onto like a stick figure on the computer. And so somebody it's Guitar Hero 5, someone who is playing that game and seeing Johnny, on the screen, I provided the moves for the avatar there. It was a lot of fun. It was great. It was a really cool experience.
Now, you actually, I don't know if you've met, or do you actually pretty well know, it was Johnny's sister, right?
Johnny's sister, Joanne, yeah. We performed our show for 2 nights in Nashville back in 2003. And we were kind of hoping we had sent out invitations to Johnny and June and any of their family members and business associates that wanted to come to the shows. Unfortunately, June passed away 3 weeks before our show, and so at that point Johnny wasn't going out at all. So, but his sister and her husband, who happened to pastor a church in Nashville, came to the show Friday night. And she was gracious enough to come up on stage with me, and we sang Daddy Sang Bass together. And so since then, we've done probably 4 or 5 different shows with Joanne, and a very lovely lady, a very gracious lady, as is her husband Harry, who is a Sandusky, Ohio native.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so yeah, we keep in touch a little bit here and there, Facebook friends and that sort of thing. But whenever we get to Nashville, we always try to make it a point to go out and see them, and if we have time, maybe go to their Sunday morning church service there at the Cowboy Church.
What do you think elevates an artist from being just a good artist to a great artist? Like, what did he have, and what did other people revered in that position? What did they have, do you think, that just an average artist might not have?
Well, I think it starts with charisma, and I won't even pretend that I can define what that is. It's something you have it or you don't. And I think for whatever reason, people are able to sense that. People were drawn to Elvis. People were drawn to Johnny Cash. People were drawn to the Beatles or Jim Morrison or whoever it might have been. So so charisma comes in, there. But I think beyond that, there's a certain honesty that I think the great artists are able to project that, for lack of a better term, lesser artists just aren't able to. Johnny Cash was a tremendous songwriter, and he was able to tap into real world experiences of the people he was singing to. So when he sang a song like 5 Feet High and Rising, or he sang a song like I Walk the Line, people could relate to that. Oh man, yeah, I know what it means to be true, to one person. Like I said, there was an honesty in not only in his delivery, but also in his writing that I think people were drawn to.
So I know this is probably going to be a difficult one. Do you have a favorite?
You're right. That is a difficult question, and people ask me that all the time. It's kind of like asking a mom which child she likes the best.
Sure.
But I Walk the Line would have to be right up there with them. Big River, I think, just the way that song is constructed, I think it's just a great piece of writing. There's a song that for whatever reason, when my kids were younger and I'd just grab the guitar and just be sitting around the house goofing around, I'd always end up singing a song called Give My Love to Rose. And I don't know why that song, spoke to me, but it's just the story of this guy who finds this man laying by the railroad tracks and he's dying, and his last wish is he gives this guy all the money that he's got. He just got out of prison, and he says, here, take this and take it to my wife. Give my love to Rose. Give her all my money. And I don't know. Like I say, there was just something about that song that just has always stuck with me.
Sure.
But the Johnny Cash songs that I've heard and didn't like are few and far between.
So you brought your guitar today, right?
I did.
Would you care to play something?
Well, I could do that. I'd have to go over and...
Yeah, I can stop the camera if you want.
Oh, okay. Well, since I was talking about Give My Love to Rose, I might as well go ahead and do a little bit of this. I actually had the opportunity to do this at Sun Studios in Memphis.
Oh, wow.
We were contacted by a television crew from Ireland who was over here doing an 8-part documentary on American country music. And so they were starting with people like Jimmy Rogers and Hank Williams and Patsy Cline, Johnny Cash. And so they wanted to interview me at Sun Studios, and so they asked me to sing a little bit of a song. So I, for whatever reason, once again, I picked this one. I found him by the railroad track this morning. I could see that he was nearly dead. I knelt down beside him and I listened, just to hear the words the dying fella said. He said they let me out of prison out in Frisco. For 10 long years I'd paid for what I'd done. I was trying to get back to Louisiana, to see my Rose and get to know my son. Give my love to Rose, please won't you, mister? Take her all my money, Tell her buy some pretty clothes. Tell my boy that daddy's so proud of him. And don't forget to give my love to Rose.
Yeah, so you can go to, is it terryleegoffee.com and...
terryleegoffee.com, or if you prefer, johnnycash.cc.
All right.
And either one of those will pull up our website. Check our schedule there. I'd love to see everybody out to one of our shows.
All right. Awesome.
Thanks again.